Hello and welcome back to another deep dive. We're so glad you could join us today. I want to start with a question for you. It might feel a little abstract, but I promise it's happening inside you right this second.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What's the question?
The question is, how does your body actually know things? I mean, think about it. How does your body know when to feel scared? Or even simpler, how does your blood know exactly when to lower sugar levels right after you've had a massive slice of chocolate cake?
That's a great question because, you don't have a control panel on your wrist. You're not pressing a button that says deploy fear mode
Yeah.
or sending an email to your liver saying, subject has consumed sugar, please process immediately.
Exactly. It just happens. It's automatic and it's silent. And that mysterious silent communication system is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're diving into the world of hormones.
Yes, and for all our students listening, we are looking at this from Unit 10, biomolecules.
Which is an interesting place for it, isn't it? Usually when people hear hormones, they think pure biology, mood swings, growing tall. But this is the deep dive, and this is Unit 10, so we're looking at the chemistry, the molecules themselves.
Precisely. This is such a crucial topic because, let's be honest, this is where biology and chemistry really shake hands. It's where what happens in the body meets the molecular structure.
And I bet that's where a lot of students lose marks. They get the biology, but forget the chemistry.
It happens all the time. Well, we're going to fix that today. But before we get into all the heavy definitions, why should we care? I mean, what happens if we just delete hormones from the human body?
Oof. If you delete hormones,
Yeah.
you're talking about absolute chaos, complete biological anarchy.
That sounds intense.
It is. Without these tiny molecules, all biological activities would be uncoordinated. Your growth, your development, how you maintain balance inside, it all depends on them. Your body's internal conversation would just go silent.
So my brain could be screaming danger, but my legs wouldn't get the memo to run.
Exactly. A scary thought, right?
Yeah.
So let's unpack this properly. Let's start at ground zero. At the simplest level, what is a hormone?
Okay, at the simplest, zero-level explanation, hormones are just intercellular messengers.
Intercellular messengers. Okay. So they're basically mail carriers moving between cells.
Correct. But here's the special part, and this is where a lot of students get confused. Think about other fluids in the body, like saliva or digestive juices. How do they get where they're going?
They usually go through tubes, right? Little pipes.
Exactly. Those are called ducts. But hormones are different. They are poured directly into the bloodstream.
Directly into the blood. So no pipes, no special tubes.
No ducts. That is the key differentiator.
Okay, I want everyone listening to close their eyes for a second. That is, if you're not driving, I want to build a mental picture here. Imagine a big factory. This factory is an endocrine gland.
Right. The gland is the manufacturing plant.
Now, this factory doesn't have a delivery truck. There's no road leading out of it. Instead, the factory is built right on the edge of a fast-flowing river. And that river, that's your blood.
And the factory just dumps its product, the hormones, straight into the water.
Right into the river. And because that river flows everywhere, the product goes everywhere. To the brain, the toes, the stomach.
The blood carries those molecules to every single corner of the body.
But wait, if it flows everywhere, why doesn't everything react? If a hormone is released to make my bones grow, why doesn't my nose start growing too?
That is the magic of the site of action. Even though the river takes the molecule everywhere, only the specific ports or receptors designed for that molecule can accept the delivery.
So it's like a broadcast message, but only certain radios are tuned to the right frequency.
Precisely. These are molecules produced in very, very small amounts, but they travel to distinct parts of the body to trigger a very specific chemical reaction.
I love that. So efficient. Okay, we have the concept down. Now, for the students who need that perfect exam-safe definition, the one that gets full marks.
Yes, get your pens ready. Here is the anchor definition to memorize. Hormones are molecules that act as intercellular messengers produced by endocrine glands.
Let's say that one more time, just to lock it in. Hormones are molecules that act as intercellular messengers produced by endocrine glands.
Perfect. And I want to highlight a massive misunderstanding trigger here. Something I see in answer sheets all the time. Students confuse how hormones travel with how other secretions travel.
And what's the fix for that?
The fix is to remember one word: ductless. Hormones do not have ducts. They rely entirely on the bloodstream for transport. If you write duct in a hormone answer, you're describing an exocrine gland, and you'll lose the mark.
Got it. Ductless. Bloodstream only. Okay, let's make this even more relatable. We call them messengers, but what's a 21st century analogy?
Oh, definitely. Think of hormones like a courier service, or even better for today's generation, a WhatsApp message.
But what's that message? I like that. Explain.
Okay, so the endocrine gland is the sender, you typing the message. The blood is the internet, the network carrying that data. And the target organ, the site of action, is the person who's supposed to read the message.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And if the person doesn't have the app, the receptor, they never even get the message.
Exactly.
But why does this whole system even exist? Why can't cells just talk to their neighbors? Why do we need this complex blood internet?
Because the body is huge
Hmm.
and it's incredibly complex. We need a way to coordinate things happening in very different places at the same time. We need to maintain the balance of biological activities. This balance is called homeostasis.
So if my brain sees a threat, my legs need to know to run, and my heart needs to pump faster, and they're all far apart.
Precisely. The message has to travel fast and reach multiple destinations at once. You can't just play a game of telephone from cell to cell. It would be far too slow.
Okay, let's do a mental movie on this.
Yeah.
Let's picture a specific molecule. Insulin. Everyone's heard of insulin.
Good choice. A classic example.
All right, picture this. You've just eaten that chocolate cake we talked about.
Well.
Your blood sugar's going up. It's spiking.
Right. Your body detects this high level of glucose.
Now, you can almost see the pancreas, that's our factory, releasing these little insulin molecules. Watch them jump into the bloodstream. They're surfing the blood waves.
And they're on a mission. They're looking for cells that need to open up.
Exactly. They travel to muscle cells, fat cells, and they basically knock on the door and say, hey, open up, absorb this sugar. And then you see the sugar levels in the blood start coming down. The balance returns.
That is the beauty of it. That return to balance is what keeps us alive. If that didn't happen, your blood would become like syrup and systems would start to fail.
Speaking of insulin, that brings us to our first major set of examples from the textbook, the sugar regulators.
Yes, insulin and glucagon. You can think of them as partners.
Okay, so partners, how do they work together?
So insulin is released when there is a rapid rise in blood glucose. Its job is to bring that glucose level down, to keep it in a narrow limit.
So sugar goes up, insulin comes out to push it down. Simple enough.
Correct. But what if the sugar gets too low? Say you haven't eaten all day. That's where glucagon comes in. Glucagon tends to increase the glucose level in the blood.
Ah, so they balance each other out. One pushes down, one pulls up.
Exactly. Together, they regulate your blood sugar perfectly.
Okay, let's move to a more high-energy example, the stress response. We mentioned getting scared earlier.
This is the domain of the adrenal glands, specifically two hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine.
I've heard epinephrine called adrenaline. Is that the same thing?
Essentially, yes. Adrenaline is the common name. In your insert biomolecules unit, you'll see it as epinephrine.
These are the fight or flight chemicals, right?
Yes. They mediate your body's response to external stimuli.
Huh?
So when you see a snake, or maybe when you realize you forgot to study for your chemistry exam,
Oh, that is definitely a stressful external stimulus.
that rush you feel, that pounding heart, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine flooding your system. They prepare your body to react immediately. Full battle mode.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for chemistry students. So far, this has been mostly biology. But in the exam, for Unit 10, they don't just ask what hormones do, they ask what they are.
This is so crucial. This is where the biomolecules unit really tests your chemistry knowledge. You need to know the three chemical categories.
Okay, let's break them down. Category 1, steroids.
Steroids. And don't just think of bodybuilders. Steroid refers to a specific chemical structure. The examples here are hormones like estrogens and androgens.
Okay, estrogens and androgens are steroids. Got it. Category 2, polypeptides.
Polypeptides. These are basically protein-like structures, so they're made of long chains of amino acids. The big examples here are insulin and endorphins.
Wait, so insulin is a polypeptide. It's basically a protein.
Yes, and that's a very common objective question. What is the chemical nature of insulin? The answer is polypeptide. This is also why diabetics usually have to inject it.
Why is that?
Well, think about it. If you ate a polypeptide, what would your stomach do? It would digest it, just like a piece of chicken. It would never survive to get into your blood.
Whoa, that makes so much sense. I never made that connection. Okay, and the third category.
Amino acid derivatives. These are just modified versions of a single amino acid. The examples here are epinephrine and norepinephrine.
So the stress hormones are just tweaks amino acids.
Precisely. So you have three buckets to remember.
Estrogens, androgens.
Insulin, endorphins. 3, amino acid derivatives. Epinephrine, norepinephrine.
That's a super helpful breakdown. I want to zoom in on one specific hormone that has a very interesting chemical detail in the text. Thyroxine.
Yes, thyroxine, produced in the thyroid gland. Now, chemically, this is fascinating. It's an iodinated derivative of the amino acid tyrosine.
Whoa, slow down. Iodinated derivative of tyrosine.
Yes. You know how we are always told to eat iodized salt?
Yes, of course.
This is why. Your body needs iodine to make thyroxine. The molecule literally has iodine atoms attached to the amino acid tyrosine.
So if there's no iodine in my diet, I can't make the hormone.
Exactly. And abnormally low levels of thyroxine lead to a condition called hypothyroidism. The textbook specifically mentions this.
Amazing. Okay, let's quickly touch on the last set of examples. The sex hormones.
Right. Produced by the gonads. In males, the testes produce testosterone.
Which is responsible for.
Things like a deep voice, facial hair, and general male physical constitution.
And in females.
The ovaries produce estradiol and progesterone. Estradiol is the main female sex hormone. It controls the menstrual cycle.
And progesterone.
Progesterone's job is to prepare the uterus for the implantation of a fertilized egg.
Okay, that's a lot of information, but we are here to make sure you crush this in the exam. So let's go through our exam-safe clarity lines.
Let's do it. Clarity line 1 is about the adrenal cortex.
Do not forget the adrenal cortex. Why is this so important?
Because it produces two types of steroid hormones that sound similar but do very different things. Glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids.
How do we keep them straight?
Look at the names. Glucocorticoids, think gluco for glucose. They control carbohydrate metabolism.
And mineralocorticoids.
They think mineral. They control the level of excretion of water and salt by the kidney.
Okay, sugar versus salt, easy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a specific disease linked here, right?
Yes, a critical exam point. If the adrenal cortex fails, it leads to Addison's disease.
Addison's disease. And what does that look like?
The key symptoms are hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar, weakness, and increased susceptibility to stress. The text says it can be fatal if not treated.
Wow. Okay, adrenal cortex failure, Addison's disease. Got it. Clarity line 2.
Clarity line 2 is the chemical matchup. We've touched on this, but it's the most common multiple choice trap.
Okay, let's do a quick quiz. I'll say the hormone, you say the chemical class. Ready?
I'm ready.
Insulin,
Polypeptide,
epinephrine,
amino acid derivative,
testosterone.
steroid.
Okay, let me repeat that for everyone. Insulin, polypeptide, epinephrine, amino acid derivative, testosterone, steroid.
Perfect. If you remember those three, you are safe.
And what's clarity line 3?
It's about thyroxine chemistry. Remember the specific amino acid base for thyroxine? It is tyrosine, Tyrosine. And remember, it is an iodinated derivative.
Tyrosine and iodine makes thyroxine. That has a nice ring to it.
It does. It helps to remember it that way.
Okay, we've covered a huge amount of ground. Let's do a quick, short summary to lock it all in.
Right, let's recap. First, hormones are intercellular messengers produced by endocrine glands poured directly into the bloodstream, no ducts.
Remember the factory on the river? No delivery trucks, just the water.
Exactly. They are the body's courier system. Key examples. Insulin and glucagon regulate blood sugar.
One pushes down, one pulls up.
Epinephrine handles stress. And glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids from the adrenal cortex handle metabolism and salt balance.
And don't forget the disease.
Yes, Addison's disease happens when the adrenal cortex fails. And finally, for your revision, focus on that chemical classification. Steroid versus polypeptide versus amino acid derivative. That's where the marks are.
Fantastic. You know, we've talked about how hormones control us, but here's a final thought. We use synthetic hormones as medicine all the time, like steroids for inflammation. How amazing is it that we can replicate these messengers in a lab to fix the body's messages? We're basically hacking our own software.
It's incredible. We are learning the language of the body and then speaking it back to.
I love that. Speaking the language of the body. All right, before you go, please take a look at the table of hormones in your insert textbook. It will help so much.
Yes, one look at that table will solidify everything.
Happy learning, everyone.
Happy learning.